Welcome back to the JPM Performance channel. Today we are working on fuel injectors. Over the years, I've seen a lot of people neglect fuel injector cleaning and testing, and that can be very detrimental to your engine. Oftentimes we are monitoring our air-fuel ratio, obviously through right after the collector and the header. Well, that's going to monitor how our engine is doing overall, the tune-wise, air-fuel. Unless you're running individual exhaust gas temperature gauges in every cylinder, you don't necessarily know that your fuel injectors and each cylinder is burning evenly. So the way that we check this is with a machine like this. So these are some RC Engineering high impedance 310 cc per minute injectors. So what we're going to do first, these are fresh out of an engine that has run for about 2 seasons worth. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hook them up and we're going to see where they're actually flowing right now, and then we'll go from there. Okay, to explain a couple of things. The first thing that I like to use on the O-rings is a little bit of silicone paste. Just helps them slip into the test connectors a little bit easier. And we stick it into our rail up here. And we know that we have fluid, test fluid in the unit. The first thing that we're going to do is to prime the system, which will bleed out all of the air and make sure that we don't have any air pockets or issues, because it's a very specific test and we can't have any air in the lines. So let's start with this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a little closer as we're doing these tests so you can get a better look at what the injectors are actually doing. So what we'll do is we will do the prime test again. So you may or may not be able to see it in the video. However, I can see it. The spray pattern on these injectors doesn't look great. That's just an initial check. Doesn't really mean much yet until we flow them. Although a spray pattern can give you all sorts of irregular flow rates. So the next thing that we're going to do is a leak test, which will make sure none of them are dripping. So you can see that nothing is dripping from any injector. So this will run for 30 seconds. The other thing to note is that we're running right at 44 psi, which is your standard for checking the flow on a fuel injector with this machine. Okay, that looked good. Next thing we're going to check is resistance. So we're looking for these to be equal, which they are. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to check the flow. So what I like to do, so these injectors are rated at 310 cc's per minute. So that's a static flow. That's basically with the injector wide open. So what we're going to do first is we will do that. Since these are 310 cc injectors, if we were to run these all in 1 minute, we would overflow. Our vials here only go to 130. What I normally do is run these at 15 seconds and then just multiply our readings by 4. So here we go with our static flow test. Okay, so it's probably hard for you guys to see the numbers exactly, but we have our injectors 1 through 4. We'll start with number 1, and that flowed 79 cc's in 15 seconds. We'll multiply that by 4. That's 316. So I'll go through and we'll calculate every one of these. These injectors look like they're actually flowing about what they should be. 310 cc injectors, that one was 316, so that's pretty close. 79.5 on the next one. 78 on number 3. And 79 again. So these are pretty equal. 316, 318, 312, and 316. So that's good news, actually. This engine that came back from this customer was actually running very well, and it's just in for a rebuild, but this is something that you should always check. So what we'll do now is we will dry pulse them just to make sure that we get all of the test fluid out as much as possible. And then what we'll do is we will disconnect them. We're going to change the filters, and then we're going to clean them in the ultrasonic bath. We'll use this tool here to remove the filters. Just like so. Then we need a pair of pliers. Get that on. So this little filter just catches any little particles that might get through your fuel system. Pump filters, obviously through the regulator, rail, all of it. So always good to replace these. So we will leave the filter out during cleaning. So you're not getting to see it today, but actually it wasn't an engine customer of mine, but someone that I've been helping over the years. And they had their engine rebuilt very recently by a good engine builder. And went out, and then we made it on the dyno, and off the dyno the tune looked good, the air fuel was fine, everything was great. Went to the track the first weekend, fried a cylinder, one piston melted. Pulled the fuel injectors out, which they had not done yet. Tested it, and that cylinder, the fuel injector, was down 20% on the flow. Ruined the engine, cost them a lot of money. So this is a very economical way to not only test and clean, but also to prevent engine failures. Will also help your engine run better too. A balanced engine runs much better. Here is an ultrasonic bath. And this bath, we will create an ultrasonic wave throughout the bath. Now, the reason that the injectors are also hooked up is because during this, it will pulse them as the sonic cleaner is doing its job. So what we will do here is an automatic clean, and you'll be able to see and hear exactly what's going on. So it's pulsing each injector, while this ultrasonic bath is also doing its thing with the ultrasonic machine part of it. So this will take 10 minutes, and we will come back and we will continue this process.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So now we will take them out of the bath, blow them off, install some new filters and O-rings, and run them again. See what we've got. So what will happen with your O-rings is they'll get enlarged just from being exposed to fuel. They'll stretch out, they can get brittle, so it's always good to replace your filter, replace your O-ring. Okay, now we will run back through the same process and see what we get, and then we'll go through a couple of other tests just so you can see kind of everything that this machine can do. Okay, for starters, I have a leaking O-ring. Probably when I put the new O-ring in and I put the adapter on, it just didn't seal up quite right. So that happens. We'll just pull that one back off and fix it. So the O-ring is okay. I probably just got it pinched in the adapter here. Okay, that worked out. Now we'll do our leak test, which we didn't have any leaks before. I don't know why we would now. Run our resistance test, which does two things: bleeds out the bleeders, also checks the resistance on the pulse. Those look equal. Okay, time to check our static flow, see if we made any improvements. Oftentimes you won't necessarily see an improvement on the flow, but you may see a marked improvement on the spray pattern. So that's one of the things that we're always looking for, is a good atomization of the fuel and a good spray pattern. So here we go with a 15-second static flow. Okay, so what we have here is before and after. So this is a good sign. Before and after is the same on every injector. and they are well within being close enough to each other that we know we're not going to have any trouble. Now, one quick note on this: a lot of guys will have, or gals, will have 2 sets of injectors, and I will flow all 8 of them. And then what I would do is I would put them into sets. So the 4 that are closest and the 4 that are closest. So that's, I always suggest that you have a spare set of injectors with you to go to the track. Because oftentimes when you're at the track, if you have a problem, you don't know if it's fuel injectors, you don't know if it's ignition. This is a very, very simple thing that you can just swap out. Oftentimes, I see a lot of guys and gals having trouble with injectors at the track for a couple of reasons. A, they haven't cleaned them in a long time, and B, they just don't understand how important this is. And so this is a very, very important part of your racing program. Do not overlook this. Very, very important. So these days I'm having all of my personal customers send me their injectors when they send me back their engine. I do suggest that you flow your injectors at least once a year, just to make sure that you don't have any strange anomaly issues going on. It only costs $30 per injector to have me test them, clean them, replace the filters and O-rings, reflow, and it's just peace of mind, and it's a really wise thing to do. So thank you all for watching today. That's about it. As always, click on that bell in the corner so you get your post notifications, and like, share, and subscribe to the JPM Performance channel. We're going to be doing all sorts of neat things coming up in the next few weeks, so stay tuned in. Thanks for watching.